So hello everyone. I'm here today with David Drury, who is a career guidance counsellor in the Dublin area.
Hi, Martina. It's great to be here with you today. And Martina McGrath Daly is the founder of 65 Points.
Now, David, today we're talking about something very exciting. We're talking about UCAS admissions. So there's a brand new round going to start soon. And my first question is for students who are just beginning to think seriously about UCAS this summer, what practical steps should they be taking now to get ready for the application process?
Yeah, I think it's with the UCAS process. So it's the Universities and Colleges Admission Service in the UK. It is good to get started early. The UCAS hub is now open. So I suggest it might be a good idea now to start thinking about creating your account, your UCAS account on the hub. It's straightforward to do. You can enter your personal details. Following that, then you can enter any qualifications you've completed, the grades. So, for example, your junior cert grades, they could be inputted if you have a copy. If not, September is fine, your school will have them. And you also might start to think about your predicted grades. So, what kind of grades you might be getting from your teachers come September. So, they're just some things to get started on. Following that, I think it's really important to start thinking about the courses you would like to take in the UCAS system. There are many courses, obviously, to choose from. It's a huge system with thousands and thousands of courses. But the UCAS Hub is brilliant because you can sample those courses, you can read about those courses, and you can start to narrow it down to those that suit your interests and your values and your work experiences, and the ones that you would perhaps see yourself in a career. Now, unlike CAO, you are limited to 5 courses. So you get to choose 5 courses for UCAS. So you definitely have a bit of reading and work to do on that. I'd highly recommend that you try SpringPod, that you sign up and you complete virtual work experiences in the courses that you're interested in applying for UCAS. So you will see SpringPod advertised on the UCAS Hub as well. So I think that could be a nice way to spend a rainy day, perhaps, if or a bit of free time. The other thing I would recommend is to start thinking about the personal statement, which has been replaced by 3 questions this year. So to jot down information, we can come to that in a few minutes. And also think about who will be your referee. Most likely it will be one of your teachers. So you might have to think about who you would like to write your reference for you for the UCAS system.
Yeah, that sounds like a whole lot of learning there in the
Yeah.
application process. Certainly sounds like it's worth starting early. And in reference to the personal statement, there's a question here. The personal statement format is changing for a 2025 entry. Could you explain what's different and what students can be doing now to prepare their responses?
Yeah, the traditional personal statement was 4,000 characters. This year it is being replaced by a series of 3 questions. So the questions are, and I'll just read them out to you. The first question is, why do you want to study this course or subject? So that's really asking you for your interests. Why are you interested in this? And that needs to be backed by evidence, concrete evidence. So you might start to jot down different things, and maybe it's books you've read, or maybe it's work experiences you've done, but start to think about those and start to write them down on paper. Question 2 is, how have your qualifications and studies helped prepare you for this course? So, for example, if you want to become an engineer, you may have achieved very high science grades in your junior cert. You might have achieved very high grades in physics, for example, or chemistry, maths, applied maths in your school grades. The other thing is you may have completed qualifications outside of school, outside of the school curriculum. So you might want to start writing down those and getting those grades. It's not too late to complete some now. There are many options online, many ways to complete online courses today. So you might want to think about, having 1 or 2 of those completed as a qualification to give you the edge. The third question is, and the last one is, what else have you done outside education to prepare, and why are these experiences helpful? So that's looking at, you might have done extracurricular activities, you might have done supercurricular where you've gone off and studied a particular topic in more depth outside of the curriculum that you have in school. You might have done some volunteering work. So think about it, think about your work experiences from transition year and start jotting them down on paper. So I would strongly advise that. And the questions, the answers length is divided up amongst 4,000 characters. So
Okay.
a little bit of work and research to do there, but time to brainstorm.
That's very helpful, David. And For folks looking at some of the most competitive courses like medicine, dentistry, and courses in Oxbridge, they come with early deadlines and extra
Yeah.
requirements. What advice do you have for students trying to stay ahead of those?
Yeah, so the deadlines are early, very early for Oxbridge, which is Oxford and Cambridge universities. The deadline closes on the 15th of October. So when you get back in September, you really are into the process of the things I've just mentioned. So the all courses, including medicine, dentistry, veterinary medicine, and all other courses in Oxbridge close on the 15th of October. So to get ahead, for example, you need to start looking at the aptitude tests that you need to sit for law, for medicine, for engineering. If we were to take medicine, for example, and the same process, the same tips would apply for all courses for aptitudes. I would strongly suggest that for medicine, you would register to UCAS, which is like the HPAT. It's the aptitude test that you take before the deadline in the 15th of October. So I'll just go through some of the dates, but UCAS is required by most medical and dental schools. So I suggest that you register with UCAS. I suggest that you practice the mock papers with UCAS and that you get as much time in, over the next few months practicing. So maybe a few questions a day, maybe one mock paper, a past paper per week. Registration has opened for UCAS. It is open now. Booking places to actually book your test. You can book your test with Pearson V Suite from the 17th of June. Okay, so we're not too far away from there. And then the testing period for UCAS is from the 7th of July to the 26th of September. So perhaps you want to leave it a little bit later so you can practice those UCAS past papers and questions and mock papers. The booking deadline is the 19th of September, and the last test date to sit UCAS is the 26th of September. So that's medicine as an example, but the same process, different dates would apply for aptitude testing for engineering, for law as well.
Wow, that does sound like a lot of preparation, a lot of deadlines to be aware of. That's
Yeah.
great, David. Thank you. And finally, we have one more question. For students aiming at the top UK universities or very competitive courses, what can they be doing over the next few months to really stand out in their application?
Yeah, so just to kind of recap, I suppose, on what we have said, but the first thing is to start early. So do a little bit every week. Start drafting ideas for your personal statement questions, as we've mentioned. I would strongly advise that you put a lot of work into checking the course requirements, the courses that you want to apply for. For example, do they require applied maths or computer science? Look at the finer print, look at the course requirements. Um, Start getting organized. Perhaps a checklist is good, to this, what we've mentioned there, and a dates list, I think, would also be helpful to have those and print them off, take them off as you achieve. I would strongly advise, particularly for students, economics, philosophy, law students, to start doing some extra reading, start reading outside of the Irish curriculum, start looking perhaps at A levels, look at the information, look at the depth they cover. So start maybe reading some A level material if you're interested in perhaps philosophy, economics, history, English, law. So I would strongly advise that because they only take 3 subjects over there, but in a lot more detail for their A levels. That's where we take up to 7 here, but in less detail. Start jotting down ideas for your personal statement. Make sure they're concise, make sure they're evidence-based, and start to just polish them up a little bit. So you have a little bit of work done by the time you get back to school in September. Start to proofread everything as well. So it's really important to spell, grammar check it. And again, to go back to that concise writing, and again, to remind you that things you need to demonstrate where you're interested or your work experience or your passions. So demonstrate it with concrete experiences. The UCAS tools, get familiar with them. There's some brilliant UCAS tools that will help you to write your statements, to help you to write the questions, the answers to the questions for the personal statement. And of course, I've mentioned SpringPod to research your courses, to get your virtual work experiences in, and to make informed decisions.
That sounds like great advice, David, and a lot to think about for the incoming 6 years. I suppose it is quite a lot to get into. You not just have the leaving cert, you also have all this application process, and for courses that are in any way restricted, you only have 6 weeks runway. So
Yeah, it's quite
It,
tight.
yeah, it's well worth thinking about this now, then, isn't it?
It is. I think it's really important to, in the UK, they would be working on this now. Obviously, we're removed from that in Irish schools,
Mm.
but I would advocate for students to start the process and to really get stuck into it, and maybe set aside just a few hours per week, and just get some of the work done. Like, you will be very grateful in September when you get back to school, and it is busy in sixth year, and it is a busy start to the term as well in all schools.
Absolutely. That's brilliant, David. Thank you very much. I hope
Thank
this
you.
helps our students thinking about the
Yeah.
UK admissions.
Great. Thank you so much, Martina. Thank
Thank
you.
you, David.